The decline of newspapers is not about the replacement of the antiquated technology of newsprint with the lightning speed of the internet. It does not signal an inevitable and salutary change. It is not a form of progress. The decline of newspapers is about the rise of the corporate state, the loss of civic and public responsibility on the part of much of our entrepreneurial class, and the intellectual poverty of our post-literate world, a world where information is conveyed primarily through rapidly moving images rather than print. All these forces have combined to strangle newspapers, and the blood on the floor is disheartening.
Contrary to what people in our own industry say, I think you're going to see the small community papers, whether they're weeklies or dailies or bi-weeklies or whatever, still putting out that paper product, because nobody's going to tell you who was born last week. Nobody's going to tell you who died and have their funeral. Nobody's going to tell you the soccer scores from your park commission or your church league game if it's not your local community newspaper.
It's not the only newspaper in town, but the Oxford Eagle has been a part of this North Mississippi community since 1865. For its first 106 years, the Oxford Eagle was a weekly publication, but in 1971, it became a Monday through Friday afternoon daily. While big city newspapers struggle to keep their readers, the Oxford Eagle continues to play the right music for small-town America.
Well, this is the only kind of size paper I've ever worked for, actually. I've done internships with larger papers, but I like this size because you get to be part of a community. You feel like you're actually connecting with people, and it's not an insane amount of work. You are working hard, but you know, at larger city papers, you don't have a life.
I think, you know, when you're in journalism school, you're taught so much about the craft of writing and reporting, and so this is more the emphasis, but once you get out, it becomes more about the relationships that define your work and the role that you have in your community. So even though my role may change, I mean, Oxford is home, and I hope that that feeds into our work that we do, that we're not just people who have a job here, but we very much call this place home.
It's like a,
I don't know, I got a picture of it.
no.
It being a small town paper, it's very cool that I can have one-on-one with my publishers. And I mean, we literally work an office down from my publisher, and my editor's office is 5 steps from mine. You know every single person.
I don't believe it.
It's obviously a great job to have if you like sports. It's a great job. It's a great city to work at because you got SEC football or SEC sports, along with some of the high school stuff, so you can get a little break, you know, a little variety. It becomes an even better job when the teams are winning.
Yeah!
We live in the communication age. 24-hour news channels, the internet, even smartphones that can put the world's information in your pocket. One may wonder why small community newspapers like the Oxford Eagle still exist.
I really like that they have a list of the events that are going on in Oxford. It is a really tight-knit community.
It was the first thing that I did when I arrived here, to get a subscription to it, and it's kept me in touch with everything that happens in the community.
The Oxford Eagle is a perfect thing for that. And since it's locally owned and run by local people, then it just caters to Oxford itself.
I look at the Oxford Eagle as belonging to the community. It belongs to Oxford, Lafayette County, and the university. And with that ownership, each opportunity that we have, you know, to as far as putting out a quality product each day, this is our goal.
Happy 4!
My name is Jason, and to me, journalism isn't just reporting the news, but verifying it.
My name is Alexander, and I think that journalism is simply telling people what they need to know.
My name is Lee, and journalism to me is providing information to the masses with as much detail and accuracy as possible.
Hi, I'm Sally, and journalism to me is an adversarial process that helps us garner information from every aspect of life.
My name's Austin, and journalism to me is the separation of fact and opinion to inform, entertain, and emotionally affect the reader.
My name's John, and in my opinion, journalism is the whole process, all the way from gathering the information to making sure your facts are correct to releasing the information to the public.
Oh, my name is Camille. I think journalism is educating yourself and accepting all opinions, and I don't think that it will die because I think people still physically want to hold the story in their hand while they read it.
I'm Jonathan Scott, and I'm the news editor here at the Oxford Eagle.
And he's the person in charge of a major part of this newspaper's content. He has a full-time staff of 3 reporters who begin their work days about the same time as the sun.
Between 6:30 and 7:15, first thing I do is usually make a round of websites, forums, see if there's anything, news that I missed overnight that might be pertinent or local. And then I do the crime report every morning.
Hey, this is Elisa from the Oxford Eagle. I was calling for the reports this morning.
And we put that in the paper every day, how many people were arrested, what they were arrested for. Sometimes I have stories to write that morning if there's deadline news. Our deadline for print is about 10 a.m. So if anything happens in the morning or overnight, it doesn't give me a whole lot of time. So sometimes we're working a little bit under the gun there.
It starts in the morning. Usually we work on our stories the day before, but last minute details, or if there's anyone else we need to connect with, or if there's breaking news that morning, we'll work on that. But usually just because our deadline is so early, we try and get our stories done the day before, and then in the morning just finish up, and then start working on the stories for the next day as soon as that's done by 8 or 9.
And then the presses roll usually around lunchtime so that we get the papers out onto the square so that the lunch crowd folks can come and get their paper around noon.
How much was it?
What we all strive to do is give the community a snapshot of what happened in the community that day. What was maybe not necessarily the most important, but history is it's happening, and if we can record that history accurately and well written form, we've done our job.
You've got to really come up with new ideas, and we do that. I evaluate myself every year. I consider the start of the year at the end of July going into football season, and the end of the year for us, even though we work 365 and all that kind of stuff, really as soon as Ole Miss baseball ends. And then I'll look at everything and I'll say, we need to do this better, we need to do that better.
I just look to get the best shot.
just want it to be a clean looking picture with emphasis on what's going on to convey the news element of the photo.
I'm Jeff McVeigh, editor of Oxford Town, sister publication to the Oxford Eagle.
What is he, the star reporter?
Oxford Town's a weekly entertainment guide we publish on Thursdays. We cover typically the bar scene, restaurant scene. We cover the arts, we cover all the museums, basically anything that the town has going on, and it could even be a neighborhood putting on something.
And people here are wonderful. They have a good relationship with our community, so we get a lot of help from people all over. I always have people emailing me and calling me with story ideas, so we really wouldn't be able to do what we do if it wasn't for that kind of interaction with the community here.
You know, covering things that your neighbors and your, kids at school and the people you see at the grocery store. I mean, there's just something kind of nice about that. Plus, given the state of the media business, this is certainly I think a good place to be.
We have a lot of people who have been here a long time because they feel like it's their community and their newspaper and it's part of a family. And I think that's what makes small town papers work in the towns that they work in.
Some 15,000 journalists nationwide lost their jobs last year. News pages are being radically cut back, and newspaper stocks have tumbled.
And according to the website Paper Cuts, more than 1,800 newspaper jobs were lost in the United States during the first 6 months of 2010. For much of this nation's history, the newspaper was American journalism. But in the early 1960s, one event proved a coming of age for a relatively new form of journalism: television.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
I get most of my information from the TV.
Television, internet, and television.
Today, both television and newspapers are feeling the pressure of a technology and information revolution.
My personal way of gaining most of my information is through the internet, through apps on my iPhone.
And internet.
Drudge Report on the internet.
I get most of my information from the internet.
There are those in the media who believe the arrival of online journalism and blogging means the end of the newspaper business as we know it.
I think even with a community newspaper as the Oxford Eagle, we have felt the effects of the economy. It's been a challenge, to keep, it's not possible to produce the numbers that maybe you had 2 or 3 years ago with the economy like it is. We still feel like there's a place for the Oxford Eagle.
I'm Belinda Jones. I'm the circulation manager for the Oxford Eagle. I try to keep chaos from happening. The circulation department is probably different from any other department at the Eagle. We're the ones responsible for getting the paper into the homes, delivered correctly, and of course if you don't get your paper correctly, we're the ones you call. If you're missing an insert, these fine ladies back here are the ones who insert our ads into the paper. And our day consists of making sure the ads get here, making sure the right ones are inserted, making sure that not only just the ads but the different sections are put into the paper, and then in a timely fashion are sent out to the carriers where they're bundled up They're bundled with the information that the carriers need, like for new starts or somebody that's stopping for vacation, and then they deliver the papers to you. I guess I'd have to say not getting the paper to the customer is the worst problem, and that's our biggest thing is to take care of that problem, making sure that they're getting a dry, readable paper about the same time every day, delivered in about the same location every day.
On March 1st of 2010, the Oxford Eagle made a very special delivery. Its new website, which took 5 months and a professional website designer to develop.
It works so well we're able to do it ourselves. That's been a really critical thing. As a small newspaper, we don't have a web department. You know, that doesn't exist here. So it needed to be something that that we could actually use ourselves. Obviously, today you know, most of us live online, and so we want to have a strong online presence. We want to be able to reach our readers where they are with the news that they need when they need it. Additionally, we wanted to add online subscriptions, so allow people to actually subscribe to the full newspaper online. But the main trick, of course, is figuring out how to do that, how to make that work. Newspapers are still trying to figure out what to do with the web, and particularly for a paper our size, we don't have a lot of good models. We don't really relate to the New York Times, for example. So it was a matter of figuring out a balance that would work for us.
So for now, the Oxford Eagle is experimenting with a hybrid model of both free and paid subscription.
And the internet will not save newspapers. Although most newspapers have websites, and have had for a while, newspaper websites make up less than 10% of newspaper ad revenue.
People won't make the kind of money they have done in the past with newspapers, but the media are an absolute essential for a democracy.
And I think it's necessary because we all have a natural curiosity, and journalism is the best way to satisfy that.
Journalism is a necessity for our everyday lifestyle.
For something to be really journalistic, it should give you a perspective other than your own and an insight into something that you would otherwise not know about.
One of the biggest mistakes that I felt that occurred in our industry is every time a new medium comes along, we dive headfirst and we ignore the established medium that have been so good to us for so many years.
That's one reason why in 2009, Dr. Husney, aka Mr. Magazine, why he created the Magazine Innovation Center at the University of Mississippi.
And if we don't adapt and change and use from technology stuff that will enhance our print product, we are going to die. To die. I want to make sure that we are going to use the web, the digital, everything that's coming along to ensure that we have a print future, because I'm one of those people who believe that the print experience is different than the digital experience. I have all the technology. I mean, just look around my office. Hunt if you love Jesus, text if you want to meet him. Here's the iPad, you know, I did spend my $800 to get this. Here's my laptops. I mean, here's my flip camera, I have the technology. But the thing is, how can we use that technology to enhance our profit centers, to enhance that experience that humans have with the sense of ownership, with the sense of showmanship, with the sense of membership with a printed product?
We've been here for over 140 years, and it doesn't mean that, you know, they're not good new products, but we have, during all that time of span, we have tried to put out the best product that we can.
People tell me, oh, look how great is the pictures on the iPad. Well, look how great the pictures are in foreign magazines, because they use much better quality paper, much better quality printing. So it's not like either or. I mean, it's again, how much value, how much investment are we doing in what we are providing?
The other thing we want to do is be a reflection of the community in the community. We want to be able to tell you what you can do here, what you did do here, what's coming up. We want to give you the information you need to be a local citizen, to take part in all the local things. We want to tell parents when they got to sign their kids up for soccer, and then we want to have a picture of the soccer game and the scores and how many goals their kids scored, because we just love to be that refrigerator material or scrapbook material.
On a screen, I can get it in print, I can get it in this futuristic, non-screen screen that I can project with 3D from my eyeglasses. But we are much more than content providers. I mean, as journalists, as creative people, we are experience makers. I mean, that's what I'm telling my students now. We're no longer creating journalists. We are creating experience makers. Don't focus on the platform. Focus on the experience.
Our journalism school exists because a man made a major donation, and he made that donation with the understanding that we would present classes in which people would learn how to use new media as well as traditional media. And so as a result, we're trying to be on the cutting edge of what needs to be done.
You're having to put pieces of the puzzle together, and you have to track down those pieces.
If journalism dies, it will just be whoever has the most money, commercial media will take over, and whoever has the most money to voice their opinions will be the opinion.
Journalism is how we learn about anything that's going on, whether it be entertainment or politics, just something that's going on in your hometown.
I think journalism will be around for a long time.
But yeah, that's about all. Thanks.
In a small town like this, I've never thought as much about what a story means on an individual level. You know, when you're in a big city like Boston or Memphis, there's, I don't know, there's some sort of anonymity to it. We always do our job, you know, professionally, and you know, do those stories about, you know, people, you know, who've gotten in trouble, and you got to, you know, put that in the paper, and it's somehow a little bit harder, or it's more personal, I guess, because, you know, we know so many of the people that we're writing about.
It's an interesting balance, because a lot of times you're writing about friends, or you're writing about somebody that you work with in a different capacity. So it's hard to, you really have to focus on ethics of journalism and how you divide that up.
And you really develop relationships with your sources. You know, they aren't just sources, you actually wind up calling some of them friends.
In 1968, Judge Keaty, who was a federal judge, he issued a court order in the federal court in Greenville, Mississippi, that the school districts of Oxford and Lafayette County, they would become integrated. Going from a segregated school to an integrated school, it probably was accomplished in Oxford and Lafayette County, probably with as much ease and success as any district in the whole United States. So to have had a part in trying to lead our people during that crucial time, from a standpoint of news stories, editorials, I look at this as probably one of the most important things that we've issues that we've had to be a part of.
One of the things, some people criticize the paper because it doesn't have that much emphasis on world news, but I don't find that a shortcoming at all, because you can get the New York Times, or you can get other major newspapers, Time magazine. I think the Oxford Eagle really fills the niche of this little town.
So we always find room for more, and if the consumers can adapt and find room for other things, why can't the publishers, why can't be the people behind the scenes who are creating those experiences say, I can find something else?
I think we have to be aware of the technologies that's out there, and we can't just keep our head in the sand and say, we're always going to be there. I think you have to be aware of the technology, but the basic thing, I just hope that we will always do a complete job as far as reporting events in our community and dealing with issues, that we need to deal with.
Small community newspapers, like the Oxford Eagle, the ones that have managed to survive time and technology, have done so by adapting. From the printing press to the internet, reaching the readers and giving them a product they find useful is a business strategy that seems ageless.
I think there'll always be a place for community newspapers, as long as you commit yourself 100% to do a good job.